Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. This video, I think, is going to be part of a series. I know that because if you were to talk about this in one video, it would be a long-ass video. And if I do a long-ass video like other people, or like other YouTubers that I look at, by the way, I'll say this right now, if you do a long-ass video, this actually came to me, to get anybody you know to even look at it, or you want them to, if you want to show them some common points, say if they don't want to listen to your whole video, you should actually put a pinned comment, and you know how you can type in a timestamp that'll take you to different parts of the video. I've seen this done in, say somebody puts full-length videos, like a full-length music album, which you know how some people will put full-length music in there. What does this have to do with music? Okay, you know how like some people will put a full-length album on YouTube, whether they're allowed to do so or not, right? Some people, if they know the album, they know where the song is, but there are some people that have typed the timestamps, and when you type the timestamp in, it'll show a little hyperlink, and you can click it, and then, well, you name the song right here, and you can put along the side the timestamp, I think in parentheses, and you can, some people do that in their talk videos when they subtitle subjects. But anyway, I didn't want to take a whole video to explain that, but that's my thinking on, say, if you do want to make a long ass video instead of a whole bunch of videos in a series, but I'd rather do a series. But all right, I'm gonna talk about today, and yeah, this is not a one video deal. You're pretty much falling into a rabbit hole, and you can call this subject, you can actually make a paradox out of it, and it basically can become a rabbit hole if you look up the definition according to Google. And why this term is dangerous, I believe it's dangerous, the word, when people use the word apathy or apathetic, I think, in my opinion, I don't even say in my opinion, it's actually fact. And by the way, it's, whether you want to call it an opinion or a fact, it's also something in my constitutional right and my freedom of speech to talk about and express. Which, by the way, my point being that the word apathy and apathetic is dangerous, because the words, if anybody accuses you apathy or apathetic rhetoric, accuse you of such thing, it's like crying witch or criminal or whatever. It is a very anti-constitution word, a very anti-free speech word, an anti-freedom word. Anybody who points a finger at anybody 90% of the time uses a word against somebody, points a finger and says they're saying or engaging in apathetic rhetoric or accusing you of apathy. I guarantee you 90% of the time they're anti-freedom, and their mindset is very Soviet. It's very democratic socialist politically. But if you want to say or admit to any legitimate purpose, I think for the most part, I almost want to say that the word, anybody who uses the word apathetic or apathy, I can argue that there is no use in using that word. There is no really use for you and me, but it's weaponized by people who have the desire to be authoritarian, those who want to talk down to you, those who believe that you should be silenced or threatened with some kind of punishment or consequences, threatened with a beat down, or threatened with being thrown in a cage by somebody who has a badge or whatever. It's used by, it can be used by far right or far left politically, but on the street, the people who I always say the far left that they want to do away with police state. They hate police state, and the far right has their opinion of police state, but yet some of them, you can be on the right, a moderate common Joe that leans right. Okay, let me try this again. You can be a common working Joe with other common working Joes that kind of lean to the right politically and morally for decent moral purposes, but yet you can have, for example, a boss or a supervisor that, because of his position and power and his power trip, is maybe can be a more, you can argue, a more radical right. Authoritarian in nature, he leans right, but because of his power trip, he leans right too, or yes, you think he does. He'll accuse you of being radical right for having a smart mouth, having the power, bragging about or threatening the power to fire you or have you thrown in a cage. So anyway, I'm trying to say that I'm trying to compare the left and the right politically. In a lot of cases, even though you lean right anyway, you're still going to do with other people who are another version of the right, who worship police state. Some of the far left actually accuse everybody just because they're right and they're all fundamentalist and thinks that they're all what do you call it, what they say, they like to throw the whole right wing all in one category. But my motto is the left and the right have their divisions and their power trips right. But anyway, yeah, so you get some of them that worship the police state, and if you're the common Joe on the right. And then the left hate the police state, but yet they worship a thug kind of state, a neo-socialist state that they worship the thugs on the street, the so-called protest thugs, which actually they're actually not protests, they're intimidation marches. For example, a police shooting happens, then you get these people in groups flexing their power, right? It's just to flex their power because they're marching, even if they're not doing vandalism, whether they're doing vandalism or not, they're marching in places that had nothing to do with the shooting because they're intimidation marches. They want you to be scared of them. Either you're supposed to raise your fist in the air. Raising the fist in the air means down with the police state, or death to the police state, and power to Mr. King of the Streets. Those who they hate police brutality, but yet they also think that for a greater good, they reserve the right to get Mr. King of the Streets and his thug pals to beat you down. And they think they're better than the police, but they have the right to commit the same brutality. And if you don't raise your fist in the air along with them and hail to them when they march in the streets in your town that had nothing to do with the shooting, then you're automatically accused of worshiping police state. Well, some of the right wing, in my opinion, are divided because I told you about the common Joe and then supervisors, people in some work on a power trip. You know what I mean? But anyway, I went on too much about that, but it's just to show a point. I spent a lot of time talking about comparing those because both extreme sides want to be the one who wields that power to say that word, like that's just like calling witch a racist. Yeah, like crying witch or crying racist. They want to cry apathy, crying, pointing to somebody and saying apathy is equivalent to crying witch or crying racist or crying criminal. You know what I mean? Even though, okay, what I was getting to here, the only thing that's close to legitimacy in the term, okay, there's only a teeny, you can argue that even whether this should be legitimized, but there is an original purpose that has a teeny bit of legitimacy in the term apathy or apathetic, which was originally used for people who were criminally insane, who were caught murdering a bunch of people, like shooting a bunch of people, like we've seen in the last decades, even in the 1980s, up until you had the Unabomber and you had Bowers who shot a bunch of people in a synagogue because of Jews. The word has legitimate merit for people who already committed bad crimes and were caught and arrested. And it has legitimate merit for people who truly are criminally insane, who have got caught doing some pretty bad things. That's the only legitimacy. If you want to search and fine-tooth comb and rationalize with any shred of legitimacy of a term without it being misused or abused, is the actually people who were verified as criminally insane, like I said, who did bad things. Okay, so how it comes into play is the rest of the 95% of the time that people misuse the term, which that 95%, which I say people want to misuse that term. The mostly dangerous part of it, other than the small portion that I said already that you can legitimize it, the rest of it, 90% of the time, it's a word used by people who want to be authoritarian. They're either they're authoritarian or pseudo-authoritarian, and the wannabe authoritarian, you know what I mean? Different types of authoritarian. If you got this far in this video, to make it easier for you, if you want to understand certain kind of, examine the people that use this. You got authoritarian, which you hear about all the time. And I'll say the far left and far right are authoritarian. The authoritarian mean people who are already in some kind of power and they want more and they want to make laws to control you, which the word, if they want to expand the legitimate term of apathy, or you got the pseudo-authoritarian. They have no power, but they support a type of authoritarian, which the pseudo-authoritarian and what I call them and the wannabe authoritarian are the same thing. Okay, when I say pseudo-authoritarian, I'm also saying wannabe authoritarian. Pseudo and wannabe. The pseudo usually is like you think you are, or you claim something to be, which in a lot of cases, Mr. King of the Streets, you know, I mean, you don't want to attack anybody because they're race. As a matter of fact, you want friends of other races that you want to warn about this. And you also want to support unwoke black YouTubers out of spite to fight this bullshit, right? Where you got to be careful what race, how people try to use race in this. The pseudo-authoritarian in its infancy, not talking about anybody because of their color, both white and black people, like the pseudo-authoritarian, wannabe authoritarian, the ones who want Mr. King of the Streets in power, started out as the school bully, whether they're black or white. And I will say that people put race into it to keep you from talking about it. That's why you want to subscribe to unwoke black YouTubers out of spite, as opposed to that racism people will try to accuse you of. You want to be outright known for, that's how you protect yourself from that, is to be outright, have people outright knowing that you support black YouTubers on a better political level. And but anyway, like the pseudo-authoritarian, wannabe authoritarian, started out, really, in my opinion, as the school bully. They don't like police state, like I said earlier in the video, but they are the school bully that never grow up. You don't want to talk about everybody because they're race, both the white and the black, Mr. King of the Streets. And I'm not talking about anybody because they're color. Yeah, the white guy that rap music blaring, not really the pseudo-gangster beta male, like I said in the videos, the actual ones that might even, in numbers, a little bit of steroids and certain tattoos and rap music. White guys, maybe they think are shit in numbers because they're blasting Eminem in their, or some other kind of gangster rap thing in their cars. And you get ones with different power levels according to what city you're in. And there's people like that anyway, yeah, not to go on about it, but the people, anyway, my point to all this is the people who support Mr. King of the Streets, the ones who hate police state, like I said, that want to commit the same brutality and a beat down, the same thing I accuse the police of. They're the people that are in political power who support that shit and don't even condemn it. They'll use the word apathy because they want to dictate what you should care about and what you should not care about. And they don't want you walking around with your head high, physically training and walking around with a smirk on your face or your head high, a chip on your shoulder, or walking around with an attitude problem is not a good thing. If you have a smart mouth, which either of the extreme side worship, whether it's a worship of far right worship of police state or the far right worshiping of Mr. King of the Streets and worshiping of protest mobs and culture that they want to sick on you and beat you down, right? The apathy indicates a threat of punishment or an innuendo of punishment because of your smart mouth. Yeah, you're not allowed to have a smart mouth. You don't question anything. You're not allowed to have an attitude problem. You sure as shit don't want to walk around like your head high with any kind of shit or any indication that you physically train any kind of way. Not that you're outright saying what you're going to do to anybody. It dovetails into the thing I always talk about, that the people that hate the NRA and want to take away your right to bear arms, I always talk about the thing they can't take. These people that hate the NRA cannot take away, but yet they will legislate. Yep, they're. It's a little off the subject, but they want to legislate. If they take gun control as a part of it, this is not a gun control video, but the people who have problems with certain people being armed, make no mistake about it, they have problem with you if you physically train, walk around with an attitude problem, question things, and if you have a smart mouth and you have problems with something they say, or you like to tear it apart, or you listen to too much Ben Shapiro videos, things like that. Like I said, both extreme sides use that word because they want to say you're criminally insane, and they would like to bring back the past couple centuries where they had where governments had enough money and political power to fill up mental institutions and insane asylums and literally have you abducted and yeah, like I'm saying too, I'm just saying this, I'm not going to go on and on too much about it, but it's like there was a time where it was easier to have you 302'd because unlike being arrested, well, the fascist Italy and the Soviet Union and countries like Burma and a lot of your South American communist socialist countries still will arrest you, and you don't have, in this country, like a right to a lawyer. But like other YouTubers said, yeah, you have a right, in America, land of the free, you have a right to a lawyer, but if you don't have a fancy lawyer, well, you can get railroaded. Yeah, but anyway, even, I'm trying to say, even though you have a right to attorney and arrest, at least in America so far, and maybe Canada, and maybe British a little bit, and and you could argue a lot of shit goes on the chip. I'm comparing that with having the right to attorney, but if, an arrest, other than, the totalitarian countries, I'm talking in my country, at least at some point, you have a right to attorney. But a lot of times back in the day, if you're 302'd, Oh, that's different. You don't have no lawyer or defense, and that's been done over the centuries. Matter of fact, it was more prevalent in this country. Well, anyway, my point to talking about stuff like that, they want to bring back places where they can cage you and 302 you. The people who want to use the word apathy against other individuals are the ones who would like to bring back a totalitarian, get you 302'd, or get you arrested in countries that are totalitarian, no right to an attorney, you know what I'm saying? And that's why that people who wield that word is dangerous. The use of the words apathy or apathetic actually, for the most part, is used by the people. When they use that term, they have a desire to have people that have the wrong opinions or have a smart mouth to be thrown in a cage or bring back the mental institutions. In which, like I say too, I'm not bashing America and America being the land of the free, but there was times in past centuries of this country, even though we claimed to be better than totalitarian countries like Soviet Union, fascist Italy, and Burma, and South American countries that worship Che Guevara, Cuba, people that worship Che Guevara and Castro, and people who worship what the fuck's his name that did the mass atrocities in Cambodia, part of it, but anyway, it's pretty dangerous term there. It has no real use other than the desire to actually round up a bunch of people, and it's always one-sided. The ones who wants to use it are the ones either want to be authoritarians or authoritarian in nature, in a sense they have some political seat somewhere and they're seeking to make more laws and legislations against somebody or something they don't like, and it's always and that word is used to the advantage of those people, and it's a word meant to be to somebody else's advantage, not yours. And the only legitimacy it actually has is, like I said, people you read about that did bad stuff and were criminally insane. The only legitimacy is there, and that's that's how that is. So anyway, even though America is land of the free, and nothing against America, even we say that we were better than the socialist countries that had gulags, like the Soviet Union. Stalin had gulags. They say people assume just because we're America, land of the free, that we didn't have gulags. Bullshit. Go look at the YouTube videos with the exploring with so-and-so and all that, and look at other documentaries where when we were awash in more money, when we had our own automobile industry and steel industry, more money to have government sanctioned and government subsidized very large mental institutions. Yes, we had gulags. We had people that were criminally and mentally insane that belonged there, but yes, a lot of people were also lab rats. Yeah, you had people that belonged there, but it was big business at the time to get rid of certain people with wrong think, or just because you have a smart mouth, or during the years where you're still owned by your parents, if you were still the property of their parents up until you were 18 and old enough to leave the house at the consent of your parents without no proof, you could be shipped off there. Hell, even my grandmother used to talk about, say as kids, don't act silly or say stuff like that. Oh, they might send you to Dixmont, and Dixmont is a place that's bulldozed down now. But anyway, if your grandmother ever said shit like that, or made reference to any asylum or anything back wherever you're at watching this video now, that came from that. Yes, we actually had gulags. People were also lab rats. And when it was government subsidized way big time, all those buildings are abandoned now. You can look all over YouTube and documentaries about it. Yeah. Oh, and plus after you weren't owned by your parents anymore and you were on your own, it was very easy. It was way easier to get 302 than get arrested, just on neighbors, some people's. This ain't just Alex Jones shit. This ain't just Fullerton Informer shit. But you look it up, it's actually true. We're still America, land of the free, and people are trying to make it less free. They're trying to bring back a more shameful part of our country that, yes, we did. When we had more money to subsidize such things, yep, we had gulags too. I just spent a lot of time in it, but I'm throwing that in for you too. And this is part of videos I did in pieces that I kept in some folders that I was gonna splice together, but I wound up doing the whole video all over again. But I'll probably keep some of my other videos I did. They're in a folder in a computer and reintroduce them. But I think I did this video way better than the videos that I didn't post yet and already did. But anyway. And anyway, to end this, I actually had what the heck is that one? Truthstream Media. This is up, if you guys are fans of Truthstream Media, this would be up your alley, because I had that dude and chick in that video written all over it. And you know, even though they didn't maybe not have did a video with the term of apathy titled in it, I'm saying this would be up your alley if you listen to them. And even though they didn't do no videos to my knowledge that had that word, it were in the title, you can bet they might have used the word somewhere and maybe said some of what I'm saying. And if they didn't, you know, maybe it's time for them to make a video about it. But I'm pretty much try to subtopic everything together, you know what I'm saying? And maybe when I'm done with this video and posted, if you got this far in this video, I should do, like I said in the beginning of the video, each thing that I was talking about, do a numbered timestamp, and you could just boop, 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 and so when you do long ass videos, that's really what you should do. And it's also in case, you know, you got some people, you're not big as these other YouTubers, there might be a higher likelihood somebody will listen to a piece of your video besides the people you know, who are a small number of people you know, whom you know for a fact. People who, let me try this again, people whom you know for a fact do watch your videos. Even, yeah, you write like a written paragraph and synopsis, and maybe it won't hurt to timestamp some of your videos, entitle them, and it'll be more enticing to some of your viewers to watch, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I probably pretty much give you the whole deal on the subject, even though there could be still other videos separately to come. But there you have it.